I came across an invitation to a party celebrating my wife's promotion in her car. The name on it wasn't mine. It belonged to her ex-boyfriend. He was listed to sit with her parents. In my seat. While she was out smiling for photos, I was at home packing clothes into boxes. While she raised a glass and laughed for cameras, I was draining accounts and getting my ducks in a row. By the time she walked through the door that night, everything was already different. My name is William Davis. Most people call me Will. I am 45 years old, and for nearly 2 decades, I've been grinding to build something I truly believed mattered. I own a few coffee shop locations across town. Nothing flashy. My name is on the leases. My money kept the doors open. My sweat is baked into those walls. It's not glamorous work. It's steady, straightforward, real. The kind of work that used to let me sleep without staring at the ceiling all night. I married Amelia Watson 22 years ago. She was 21 back then. Bright-eyed, ambitious, certain life would unfold exactly as planned. I was 23, and dumb enough to believe love was bulletproof. Our son, Liam, came a year and a half later. He's a sophomore now, majoring in medicine, living in a dorm 3 hours away. Old enough to see that marriages don't always match the smiles and family photos. Amelia is a sales director at Tech Solutions Group. Mid-sized company. Surgical equipment. Hospitals. She's good at her job. Really good. She flies out to conferences. Meets major clients. Charms people effortlessly. A little less than a month ago, they moved her up. It's not public yet, but it's coming. Vice President of Sales. Top floor office. City views. Company car. Everything people chase in a career. I didn't hear it from her. I found out because of that envelope. It was a Monday morning. I was digging around her car, looking for my insurance card. We'd talked about adding her vehicle to my policy to shave a little money off the bill. That's when I noticed the envelope wedged between the passenger seat and the center console. Thick paper. Dark blue. Heavy. The kind of thing companies use when they want you to feel important before they even say a word. I pulled it out and opened it right there. Tech Solutions Group cordially invites you to celebrate the promotion of Amelia Davis to Vice President of Sales. Saturday, October 11th. 8 in the evening. The Sentinel Hotel. Dinner and reception to follow. Then, in smaller print near the bottom, something that made my stomach drop. Reserved seating for immediate family. Inside was a seating card, alphabetized by last name. Clean. Precise. No mistakes. Her name was there. Amelia Davis, table 2. Her parents, Richard and Rebecca Watson, were listed with her. Her brother Henry and his wife were there too. My name wasn't. Not at her table. Not pushed somewhere else. Not anywhere on the list at all. I stood in the driveway staring at that card longer than I want to admit. The paper shook slightly in my fingers. Not from anger. Not yet. It was that hollow drop in your chest when you suddenly realize you've been reduced to background noise in your own life. About 15 minutes later, Amelia came outside. Coffee in one hand. Phone glued to the other. She walked right past me at first. When she finally noticed me, her smile slipped just a notch. "Hey, babe," she said, forcing a cheerfulness that didn't quite land. "I thought you already headed out to the Main Street shop." I didn't answer. I just lifted the invitation so she could see it. Her expression shifted. Not full guilt. Not open defiance. Something tangled and uncomfortable right in the middle. "Oh," she said. That, I echoed. "Your promotion party. The one where your husband apparently doesn't exist." She set her thermos on the hood of the car, slow and deliberate, like she needed a few extra seconds. I watched her cycle through several expressions before settling on one that tried to look both apologetic and firm. "Will, it's not what you think." "Then explain it to me," I said, "because right now it looks like my wife became a vice president and didn't want me in the room when it happened." She folded her arms. I'd seen that move 1,000 times. She did it right, before saying something she knew wouldn't go over well. "My parents handled the seating," she said. "You know how my mother is with corporate events. She's very focused on appearances." "Appearances," I repeated. "So focused that the man married to her daughter for 22 years doesn't rate a chair. It's complicated, Will. Then make it simple." Amelia turned her head toward the street, watching the mailman like he'd suddenly become the most interesting thing in the world. Anywhere but looking at me. "They think David should be there." The name hit hard, like a splash of ice water down my back. David Anderson, her college boyfriend. They were together a little over a year before she and I ever crossed paths. Now he was a high-end hospitality consultant in tailored suits, talking numbers like they were sacred scripture. I'd seen him exactly once. At her father's birthday party last fall. He looked straight through me, like I was staff. "David," I said. "Your ex. David Anderson." "That David. He's consulting for my company now, Will." Amelia sighed. "He helps a lot. He brings real value. People respect him." "Fantastic," I said. "Truly. Still doesn't explain why he gets a seat at your celebration and I don't." She finally met my eyes. Her jaw was tight. "Because my parents like him." There it was. "They always have," she continued. "He fits better with them. More their type." "Their type," I repeated. "You know what I mean," she said quickly. "He speaks their language. Corporate. Networking. That whole world." Then she hesitated. "You're great at what you do, Will. But running coffee shops isn't exactly." She stopped. She didn't need to finish. The message landed anyway. Not impressive enough for people like them. Something shifted in my chest. It wasn't rage. It was worse. Calm. Cold. Clear. "So let me get this straight," I said evenly. "Your parents prefer your ex-boyfriend over your husband. And instead of shutting that down, you went along with it." I paused. "You didn't even warn me. I had to find out by accident." "I was going to tell you," she said. Even she didn't believe that. "When?" I asked. "Saturday night? After the party?" When I asked how it went. She had no answer. She just stood there in the driveway, arms still folded, looking at me like I was the problem. "You know what hurts the most?" I said quietly. "It's not that you didn't stand up for me. It's that you never thought I would stand up for myself." I handed her the invitation. She took it, but didn't look down. "I have to go to the Main Street location," I said. "The inventory truck gets in at 10. I walked past her, climbed into my truck, and pulled out of the driveway. In the mirror, I saw her standing there alone, staring at that cream-colored envelope like it might explode in her hands. Here's what people miss about quiet men. We don't always show the damage when it happens. We just start making different plans. The Main Street shop needed me that morning. But honestly, I needed it more. Sometimes you need something physical to focus on, just to get out of your own head and breathe again. Counting boxes. Matching numbers. Simple work. I think best when my hands are busy. So I buried myself in work that Monday. I reorganized the stockroom, double-checked delivery schedules, walked the new kid through the espresso machine for the first time. Regular, boring Monday tasks. But between pulling shots and signing invoices, my mind kept drifting back to the seating chart. David Anderson's name, and the empty space where mine should have been. Around 3 in the afternoon, I stepped into the back office and called my accountant. Richard Harris, 66 years old. He'd handled my books since I opened my first shop 17 years ago. Sharp, careful, the kind of man who notices patterns before they become problems. "Richard, I need you to dig into something for me," I said. "All joint account activity for the past 2 years. Everything Amelia and I share. Checking, savings, investments, stocks, all of it." "That's a lot of ground to cover, Will," he said. "What exactly are we looking for?" "I don't know yet," I admitted. "Anything unusual, large withdrawals, transfers I didn't approve, anything that feels off." There was a brief silence on the line. Richard wasn't naive. He'd been married for 42 years. He knew exactly what kind of storm usually came before a request like that. "I'll have it ready by Friday," he said finally. "I appreciate it, Richard, and I need this kept quiet." "You know I will," he replied. I hung up and went back out front, but my focus was gone. 7 months earlier, the Main Street location had started slipping. Slowly at first, then faster. For long-standing corporate contracts vanished within weeks. Every one of them went to the same competitor across town. Jazz Cafe. New place. Clean branding. Prices aggressive enough to hurt. And somehow, they always knew exactly how low they could go without bleeding out. A little too informed. At the time, I blamed bad timing. Competition. The market shifting. Now, I wasn't so confident. That night, Amelia got home late again. She said she'd been stuck in another strategy session with the incoming executive team. Transition planning. Big picture stuff. She kissed my cheek like everything was normal. Asked about my day. Started cooking dinner like we were still the kind of couple who shared everything without thinking twice. Then she spoke while stirring the sauce. "David called today?" The way she said it set my teeth on edge. Too casual. Too rehearsed. "He wanted to confirm a few details for Saturday's event," she added. "I'm sure he did. I said. She glanced over her shoulder at me. Will, please don't start. Like what? I asked. Like a husband who just found out he's been replaced by your ex on the biggest night of your career? You haven't been replaced, she said. You're being dramatic. I set my glass down and looked at her directly. When did David start consulting for your company? I told you. He's been helping with distribution strategies. When did it start? She turned back to the stove. Maybe 6 or 7 months ago. I don't remember exactly. Try harder. Why does it matter, Will? Because 7 months ago, the Main Street location started hemorrhaging contracts to a competitor, I said. And I'm wondering if those two things might be connected. Amelia's stirring stopped. Just for a second. Then she laughed. Actually laughed. You think David is feeding information to your competitors? She said. That's paranoid. Even for you. Is it? I asked. He's a hospitality consultant. He knows the industry. He's been working with you. I stepped closer. Which means he's been around our conversations. Around our numbers. Our finances. You talked to him about my business. Of course not. Are you sure? I said. Because you didn't even tell me you were working with him at all. So forgive me if I'm not taking your word for it. The sauce began to bubble over. Amelia turned off the heat, moved the pan aside, and stood there with her back to me. Her shoulders were tight. I think I'm going to sleep in the guest room tonight, I said. I'm not angry, Amelia. I'm just tired. And I need some space to think. I left her in the kitchen and went upstairs. The guest room still had boxes from when we moved Liam's things out for college. I pushed them aside, lay down on the bed, and stared at the ceiling. My phone buzzed. A text from Liam. Hey Dad, can we talk this weekend? Something's been on my mind. I stared at the message for a long moment before replying. Of course, honey. Call me whenever. He didn't respond right away. That wasn't like him. Liam always responded immediately. I set the phone down and closed my eyes. But I wasn't sleeping. I was thinking about timelines. About coincidences that weren't coincidences. About my son's strange text. And my wife's casual lies. Richard called Friday morning while I was unlocking the downtown shop. No greeting. No small talk. Just straight to it. Will, you need to get to my office. Now. The tone told me everything. I was there before 9:30. His desk looked like a crime scene. Papers everywhere. Bank statements. Transaction logs. Copies of checks I'd never seen before. Tell me what I'm looking at, I said. Richard tapped the first stack. Joint savings. Yours and Amelia's. 2.5 years ago, the balance was $310,000. My dad's life insurance payout, I said. Plus years of profits from the franchises. Correct, Richard said. That was supposed to be your retirement. Was supposed to be, he continued, sliding another page across the desk. 19 months ago, $100,000 was withdrawn. Memo line says, investment opportunity. My gut dropped. I never approved that. The signature matches yours, he said calmly. I picked up the slip. It was my signature. Or something close enough to pass. I didn't sign this, Richard. Then we have a serious problem. He pulled out more documents. 3 months later, another $90,000. Same situation. Same signature. No discussion. Then 2 months after that, $65,000 more. How much is left? I asked. $51,000, he said. She stopped there because anything larger would have triggered additional scrutiny. I leaned back slowly. More than $200,000. Gone. Where did it go? Richard handed me another page. Wire transfer records. Every one of them sent to the same place. Anderson Hospitality Ventures, LLC. David Anderson. Of course it was. There's more, Richard said. I already knew that meant worse. Your business accounts have been accessed repeatedly, he continued. No direct withdrawals. But someone's been pulling internal reports. Vendor agreements. Pricing models. Cost breakdowns. Margins. Everything a competitor would want. How? I asked. Shared credentials, Richard said. Amelia is listed as a co-owner for tax purposes. She has full administrator access to your accounting software. He pointed to the logs. Most of the access happens late at night. 10, 11, right around the time you're usually asleep. I stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the world was still moving like it always does. People grabbing coffee, heading to work, complaining about traffic. No one out there had any idea my life had just split into sharp, jagged pieces. There's one more thing, Richard said quietly behind me. I didn't turn around, just nodded for him to continue. I pulled the registration records for Jazz Cafe, he said. The competitor that's been taking your contracts. That got my attention. I turned back toward him. Silent partner listed as Anderson Hospitality Ventures. Registered 8 months ago. The air in the room felt thicker, smaller. David Anderson wasn't just advising my wife. He was using inside information from my business to undercut me. And he was doing it with my own money. Amelia hadn't just stood by. She had helped make it happen. What do I do, Richard? I asked. He looked at me over his glasses. Serious. Legally, he said, you make copies of everything. You document every detail. You protect yourself. And you get an attorney. And personally? He folded his hands. That part's up to you. You decide whether you fight or you walk away. But if you walk, you do it clean. Smart. You don't leave loose ends that can come back to hurt you later. I drove home feeling numb. Like I was underwater. Everything looked normal, but nothing felt real. When I pulled into the driveway, the house was empty. Amelia was still at work. Probably sitting in a conference room. Probably with David. Talking strategy. Sharing inside jokes. Not thinking about me at all. I went straight to the garage. I knew exactly what I was looking for. A few cardboard boxes labeled college files in Amelia's handwriting. Things she never bothered to throw away. I opened the first box and started digging. Financial aid forms. Old transcripts. Random paperwork. Then, at the bottom, I found a small card. A thank you note. Dated 23 years ago. Amelia's junior year. The year before we married. Thanks for the getaway to Silver Creek. Next one is on me. Let's not wait so long between visits. David. Silver Creek was 7 hours away. Amelia had told me she spent that spring break volunteering at a homeless shelter. I remembered it clearly because I felt like a jerk for going to Cancun with my friends while she was supposedly doing charity work. She wasn't at a shelter. She was in a cabin with David. I sat down on the cold garage floor, the card still in my hand. Something heavy and cold settled in my chest. It wasn't anger. It wasn't even pain anymore. It was clarity. Sharp. Clean. Absolute. She had been lying to me from day one. And somewhere along the way, she got sloppy. Comfortable. That was her mistake. Saturday morning arrived like nothing was wrong. Amelia's alarm went off at 7. I heard the shower start. Drawers opening and closing. The closet door as she chose an outfit for her big moment. I was already awake. Had been for hours. I lay in the guest room, staring at the ceiling while the darkness slowly thinned into gray. Watching morning leak in through the window. By 7, I was dressed. Trousers. T-shirt. Boots. My old Colorado State hoodie. Amelia was in the kitchen with her breakfast and tea, scrolling on her phone. She glanced up when I came downstairs. Morning, she said. Careful. Like she was checking for danger. Morning, I said. Downtown shop today? That's the plan. She nodded, took a sip, then hesitated. So, about tonight. Have fun, I said. You earned it. Something passed across her face. Relief, maybe. Like she'd braced for impact and didn't get it. Thank you, she said. That really means a lot. I poured myself coffee. Black. 1 spoon of sugar. The same way I've taken it for 2 decades. What time does it start? 8. But I need to be there by 7 for photos and pre-event stuff. Makes sense. She paused, then tried again. I know things have been strange lately. But after tonight, it should calm down. We can really talk. About everything. Okay. Sure, I said. After tonight. She smiled. Small. Uncertain. But genuine enough. Then she kissed my cheek and walked out the door. I stayed in the kitchen long after her car was gone, thinking about that kiss. About how effortless lying becomes when you practice long enough. Then I got moving. My first call was to Richard. Transfer my half of every joint account into my business account. All of it. Today. Will, that's going to trigger alerts. I know. Do it anyway. Then remove me from every shared authorization. Credit cards. Utilities. Anything with both our names on it. I want my name off by close of business. You're absolutely certain? Richard asked. I didn't hesitate. I had never been more certain about anything in my life. My second call was to a lawyer. Hazel Smith. 48. The best family attorney in the state. Sharp reputation. Ruthless when she needed to be. I'd met her a few times at Chamber of Commerce mixers. Casual conversations. Handshakes. I never imagined I'd be calling her like this. Hazel, this is Will Davis. I need to retain you. Today. There was a brief pause. Then her tone changed. What's happening, Will? My wife has been draining our joint accounts to bankroll her ex-boyfriend's business, I said. She's been feeding him internal data from my franchises. When this comes apart, I need to be protected. Silence. Then, come to my office at 10. Bring everything you have. I spent 2 hours there. Bank statements, forged signatures, LLC filings, timelines that lined up my losses perfectly with David Anderson's gains. Hazel listened, took notes, asked pointed questions. When I walked out, I had a plan. We file separation paperwork on Monday, Hazel said. You don't warn her. You don't give her time to move assets or spin a story. You strike first. You strike clean. And you bring proof. What about tonight? I asked. Her promotion event. Hazel looked at me over her glasses. Are you asking me as your attorney or as a man? She leaned back. As your attorney, I say stay away. No scenes. No emotional outbursts. Don't give her anything she can twist into harassment or emotional abuse. Then she smiled. Thin. Cold. As a person, do whatever you need to do. Just don't be stupid. I left her office just after 12 and drove to the downtown shop. Tom was behind the counter. Assistant manager. Good kid. 24. Taking night classes for a business degree. Tom, I need you to run all 3 locations starting Monday, I said. He looked rattled, but nodded. Personal situation, I added. I'll still be around. Just not day to day for a bit. You're ready. I trust you. Will, if this is about Amelia. I looked at him sharply. I saw her having lunch with a guy a few months ago, he said carefully. Downtown. That new place. They looked close. I didn't say anything because it wasn't my place, but how close? I asked. Holding hands across the table close. I nodded. Thank you for telling me, Tom. I spent the afternoon at the Main Street location. Inventory checks. Schedule reviews. Normal shutdown routines. Around 5, I drove to the storage unit Amelia and I had rented years ago. The one she assumed I'd forgotten. I pulled out every box. Old college records. Early tax returns. The deed to the house. Everything that mattered. Everything that proved what I'd built and paid for. Then I went home. Her car was gone. She was already at the Sentinel Hotel, getting ready for her moment. I walked through the house slowly. Like a stranger. 22 years of furniture we'd picked together. Photos on the walls. Liam's baby shoes in a shadow box. All the solid proof of a life that was never what I thought it was. I didn't pack everything. Just what mattered. Clothes. Toiletries. My laptop. Documents. 2 suitcases and 1 box. That was the weight of 22 years. I set my wedding ring on the kitchen counter, right beside the coffee maker, somewhere she couldn't miss it. Then I walked out. I didn't go to the Sentinel Hotel. I went somewhere else. Somewhere quieter. Smarter. The storage unit was cold. Concrete and steel. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, harsh and constant. Not comfortable. Not welcoming. But it was private. And that was enough. I'd rented it 2 weeks earlier under my business name. 10 by 10. Nothing fancy. Just enough space for the boxes I'd already pulled from the house. Now I added more. The spare laptop Amelia never knew existed. The external drive with backups of every financial record. The folder Richard prepared for me, pages marked and highlighted. The notebook where I'd been logging dates, transactions, connections. Everything she thought was buried. Everything she assumed I'd never piece together. I sat down on a folding chair and checked the time. 8:15. The celebration had started. Amelia was probably smiling into a microphone, thanking executives, thanking her parents, probably thanking David for his support and guidance. My phone vibrated. A message from Liam. Dad, I'm coming home tonight. Not tomorrow. I need to see you. Something was wrong. I stared at the screen. He knew. I didn't know how, but he knew. I called him immediately. He answered on the first ring. Hey, Dad. Hey, what's going on? Where are you right now? I tried the house earlier, he said. Mom didn't pick up. She's at her promotion thing. I replied. The VP event. Yeah. Where are you? Working late. Silence. Dad, he said. Please don't lie to me. I closed my eyes. How much do you know? Grandma called me last week, he said. Asked if I was excited about Mom's promotion. Asked if I'd met David Anderson. Said he'd be there. Sitting with them. My chest tightened. What did you say? I asked who he was. Grandma got awkward. Said he was just a business contact. He paused. But the way she said it. Like I was supposed to already know. Like everyone knew except you. The silence between us felt heavy. Then Liam spoke again. Steady. Certain. Mom is cheating on you, isn't she? It wasn't a question. Yeah, I said. She is. How long? I heard him take a shaky breath. I don't know yet, I said. But longer than I want to imagine. What are you going to do? I'm going to deal with it. The right way? The legal way. But Liam, I need you out of the crossfire. He exhaled slowly. Dad, I'm already in it. She's my mom. You're my dad. There's no version of this where I'm not in the middle. I told him everything he needed to know. That I was leaving his mother. That I was filing for divorce. That people would say different things. And that no matter what, I would always be his father. Then I asked him for one thing. Turn the car around. Go back to college. Give us time to handle this the right way. Reluctantly, he agreed. Then he said the one thing that mattered most. I'm on your side. We hung up. Something inside me finally locked into place. Not anger. Not pain. Something colder. Finished. I opened Amelia's Instagram. She'd posted 10 minutes earlier. A photo of her at the podium. Mid-speech. Smiling like nothing in the world was wrong. Caption. Grateful for this incredible opportunity and everyone who believed in me. I tapped into the tagged photos. Someone had posted a wide shot of the room. I zoomed in on table 2. Richard, Rebecca, Henry, and sitting right beside Rebecca, relaxed, smiling like he belonged there, was David Anderson. In my seat, with my in-laws, probably raising a glass to her success. Funded by money he helped steal from me. I took a screenshot, dropped it into my evidence folder, labeled it October 11th, the night she chose him. Then I shut my phone off. I drove to the hotel I'd already booked. Extended stay, month to month. No questions. One room, small kitchenette, neutral walls. I ordered food, ate it while some news played on the television I didn't care about. I took a shower. Then I lay down on a bed that wasn't mine, in a room that smelled like detergent, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in a long while, my mind was quiet. And for the first time in weeks, I slept. Because the worst part was over. And once you know the worst part is over, you can move. Sunday morning, my phone rang at 7. Amelia's name lit up the screen. I watched it ring. Once. Twice. 5 times. I picked up on the 6th. Will, she said. Her voice was tight. Measured. Too controlled. Where are you? Does it matter? Of course it matters, she said. You disappeared. You took your things and left without saying anything. I came home last night, and you were just gone. How was the party? I asked. That caught her off guard. I could hear it in the pause. What? Your celebration. How did it go? Did David enjoy sitting at your table with your parents? Another pause. Longer this time. Will, if this is about the seating. It's not about the seating, Amelia, I said. It's about $250,000. Nothing. No breathing. No background noise. Just silence. I could picture her face. The color draining. Her mind racing. I don't know what you're talking about, she said finally. Yes, you do, I said. Anderson Hospitality Ventures. The LLC you've been sending our retirement money to. David's little investment. The one he used to launch Jazz Cafe and take my contracts. Will, I can explain. Can you explain the forged signatures? I cut in. Richard showed me the withdrawal slips. My name is on documents I never signed. That's fraud, Amelia. That's a felony. Her breathing sped up. Sharp. Uneven. You're talking to lawyers. Of course I'm talking to lawyers, I said. What did you think I'd do? Smile and thank you for robbing me. It wasn't robbery, she snapped. It was an investment. David needed startup capital. David needed my money to compete against me, I said. And you handed it to him. You gave him our numbers, vendor agreements, pricing models, everything he needed to bleed my business dry. That's not. She stopped. Tried again. Will, you don't understand the whole picture. Then explain it, I said. Explain why my wife spent 18 months stealing from me to bankroll her ex-boyfriend. Explain why you were having lunch with him while telling me you were stuck in meetings. Explain the thank you card from Silver Creek. The weekend you told me you were volunteering at a shelter. You went through my things, she said sharply. You went through my accounts. We're past privacy, Amelia. She was crying now. Quiet, controlled sobs. But I could hear them anyway. Will, please. Come home. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix, I said. On Monday morning, you'll be served separation papers. After that, I file a police report for fraud and identity theft. And before next week is over, every client you help take from me will know exactly who David Anderson really is. You can't do that, she said. That's slander. It's not slander when it's true, I said. And I have proof. Bank statements, forged signatures, transaction logs, stacks of documentation your new VP's salary can't erase. She went quiet, long enough that I knew she was calculating. Then she tried again. What about Liam? Liam already knows, I said. He called me last night. And do you know what he said? He said he's on my side. Because even at his age, he can see exactly what you've been doing. I took a breath. I'm done, Amelia. Done with the marriage. Done with the lies. Done pretending I'm blind. If you want David, take him. But you don't get my money, my business, or my dignity along with him. I ended the call before she could respond. My hand was shaking. Not from anger. From release. I'd finally said everything. My phone rang immediately. I rejected the call. It rang again. Rejected again. Then a text came through. Please don't do this. I'm sorry. We can fix this. I love you. 22 years of marriage. And that was what she offered now. After everything. I deleted the message and blocked her number. Then I called Liam. On Monday morning at 10, I was already in my lawyer's office. Sitting. Braced. Hazel confirmed what Richard had uncovered. Amelia hadn't just stolen money. She'd committed wire fraud. She and David had been working together for nearly 2 years, using my business data to undercut my locations, then funneling the profits back into his company. And this wasn't David's first time. Either Amelia didn't know, or she didn't care. Hazel looked at me and smiled. All the leverage is yours now, she said. The house, the assets, full restitution. If you want to avoid court, we can. I did. David was different. I was facing a long, expensive fight to hold him accountable. But I didn't back down. I wasn't going to let someone steal from me and walk away, even if it took years. We agreed to meet again on Wednesday to finalize the paperwork. I spent the rest of the day at the Main Street location. Inventory checks, account reviews, talking with regulars, letting routine steady me again. Around 4, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. A message from Amelia's father, asking me to keep this within the family. I stared at it for a long moment, then sent my lawyer's contact information and said all communication would go through her. I blocked the number. Less than a minute later, the call started. Her mother, her brother, his wife, then Amelia again, from a new number. Blame, insults, threats, pleading. I didn't care. I had something they didn't. Proof. A month after I filed for separation, David Anderson's life began to unravel. Slowly at first. A health inspector showed up at Jazz Cafe. 12 violations. The place was shut down for 2 weeks. Then the Nevada case resurfaced. The partner David claimed he'd settled with? Turns out he never paid in full. He made a few payments, then vanished. There was now an active warrant for his arrest in Portland. Then my civil lawsuit moved forward. Discovery is a powerful thing when you're not hiding. David was forced to turn over everything. Contracts, bank statements, transactions going back 3 years. What emerged was a pattern. Not just Nevada, Utah, Idaho. Same play every time. Find a struggling business owner's wife. Start an affair. Gain access to finances. Then build a competing operation. And bleed the husband dry. Amelia wasn't the first, just the most recent. Hazel called me one Wednesday morning. David Anderson had filed for bankruptcy, trying to shield what little he had left. The chances of approval were slim. Then she told me something else. Amelia was officially listed as his accomplice. I sat with that for a long time. 22 years together. 1 son. And everything collapsed into that single fact. My wife, staring down criminal charges. Because she trusted the wrong man. And believed she could outsmart the consequences. Amelia called me that night. The first time I answered in months. Will, she said. Her voice was breaking. The district attorney wants to charge me with fraud. They're saying I could face 5 years. Fraud is a felony, I said. Please, she cried. I'm begging you. Tell them you won't press charges. I didn't press charges, Amelia, I said. The state did. Once they saw the evidence, it stopped being my decision. But you gave it to them, she said. You did this to me. No, I said calmly. You did this to yourself. You stole from me. You forged my signature. You helped David sabotage my business. All I did was write it down. She was sobbing now. What about Liam? She asked. What happens to him if I go to prison? Liam is an adult, I said. He'll be okay. There was a long silence. Then she said something I didn't expect. I'm sorry, she said. For everything. I thought David would make me rich. I thought we were building something real. It was all lies. Yeah, I said. It was. And I hung up. The divorce was finalized 2 months later. Amelia signed every page. Hazel slid across the table. No arguments. No negotiations. She didn't fight for the house. Didn't fight for the businesses. She was too busy dealing with criminal charges. The district attorney offered a deal. 1 count of fraud. 2 years probation. Full restitution. Amelia accepted. David wasn't as lucky. 3 fraud charges. Identity theft. Multiple theft counts. For years in prison. Eligible for parole in 2. I kept the house. I kept the businesses. I won a $250,000 judgment against David that I'd probably never collect. But I gained something far more valuable. I got my son. Liam came home for Thanksgiving. This time, he brought his girlfriend. We ate. We laughed. We talked about life. As he left for college, he hugged me and said he was proud of me. A year and a half after Amelia's promotion party, I stood inside the grand opening of my newest location. Bigger space. Better location. Top-tier equipment. Everything I'd planned before David tried to tear me down. My phone buzzed. A message from Hazel. The settlement finally came through. David's bankruptcy trustee recovered $140,000 from offshore accounts. Checks were already on the way. It wasn't every dollar I lost, but it was enough. More than enough. A woman stepped up to the counter. Mid-30s. Blonde. Confident smile. This place is incredible, she said. How long have you been doing this? 17 years, I replied. Started with 1 shop. Now we're up to 4. That's impressive, she said. I'm opening a bakery across the street. Your coffee. My pastries. Maybe there's a partnership there. Maybe, I said. Will. Sophie, she said, offering her hand. Sophie Mitchell. We talked for 20 minutes. About business. About the neighborhood. About nothing that actually mattered. And it felt easy. Normal. Like conversation is supposed to feel. When there's no tension hiding underneath it. When she left, Liam leaned over and laughed. Dad, he said. She was flirting with you. I slipped her card into my pocket. Maybe I'd call later. That evening, after the crowd thinned out, I sat alone in my office, going over numbers. The business was thriving. For the first time in a long time. My phone buzzed again. A message from Amelia. She congratulated me on the opening. Said I deserved it. I stared at the screen for a moment, then deleted it. I pulled Sophie's card back out, looked at the number, thought about what Liam said, and sent a message. Friday works for me. I set the phone down and looked around the office. At the framed photo of Liam. At the business license with my name on it. At the life I rebuilt, piece by piece. Amelia took a lot from me. Money, time, trust. But she didn't take what mattered. She didn't take my ability to build something real. To stand back up. To begin again. That was the difference between us. She gambled everything on a con artist. And lost. I bet on myself. And I won. The shop was full. Liam laughed with a customer at the register. The espresso machine hummed in the background. Everything felt right. I was 46 years old. Single. Expanding a business. And maybe, just maybe, starting something new too. It wasn't the life I imagined. 21 years ago when I married Amelia Watson. It was better. Thanks for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe.